Gender stereotypes have plagued our country throughout history, particularly against women. But as we fast forward to the present day, we see some progress towards gender equity. Based on what gender we identify with, we are inherently different. But this doesn't mean we need to act or be treated in a certain way that coincides with gender stereotypes that have been cemented into our society's culture for many years. I believe we are becoming more aware of these gender stereotypes, but it made me wonder how progressive we are at Bentley University. I decided to conduct my own form of primary research. I sat down with 4 Bentley students to ask them about their views on gender stereotypes for both men and women, in hopes of figuring out if our campus has made some progress towards gender equity. These are their responses.
White, 5'10"-ish, hard worker.
Definitely driven. I mean, competitive, definitely. Probably, hopefully smart. You know, I'm maybe not smart, but smart to get in here. But yeah, I guess those.
I describe the average Bentley male as motivated, hardworking, industrious, wanting to make an impact.
I would describe the average Bentley male as probably somebody who comes from an upper middle class background. I just assume most of them are finance majors. I think all of them want to work in the city after they graduate, so I would say they're pretty hardworking and driven to be here.
Also white. I don't know, hard worker, I guess. Everyone at Bentley works hard.
Same thing. Smart, driven, competitive. I don't think it makes much of a difference whether you're male or female, but you need the same characteristics to, of course, gain entrance to Bentley.
You know what? I'd honestly say the same. I think that's something that's really special about the school is that everyone's pretty driven and motivated. And the women are inspiring to me on this campus for sure. And men, I think they both of them really have a drive, and it's clear that we're all going to make an impact someday in the world. That's how I look at Bentley students.
At Bentley, I would describe most of the females maybe as like marketing or IDCC majors, maybe management too. I think as a finance major myself, I don't see a lot of women around me, so it's kind of surprising, but I guess it's pretty common for the field.
I think that's something I've seen and also just heard faced all of them is that men tend to dominate the conversation. Being one of the first ones to speak up, and it seems like it's a harder thing for women to do is to speak up in most of the scenarios. I think that society from an early age has taught women to be more submissive in most instances. Do I believe that this should be the case? Absolutely not. I think that everyone's voice should be heard, but that's just something I've noticed. I think that it's a lot more difficult for women because if they try to speak up, they feel like they'll be reprimanded or shamed for doing so. But like I said, I want to clarify that this is something that we definitely need to work on as a society.
I've definitely heard of I don't know if this would be a stereotype, but I've heard of the Bentley ratio and how there's a lot more guys and gals, and I would say that a lot of, in terms of like teaching and stuff, I see a lot more that people say, that I've heard some professors say that maybe the accounting or the finance is more of a man's field than necessarily a female's. That's just some stuff I've heard.
I think there are certain times where I feel like it's just not my comfort zone to be a part of. Like sometimes in class, if I'm in a finance class, I really feel intimidated about contributing and participating. Especially working in the trading room, I feel like sometimes people ask my male coworker a question they won't ask me, so it's kind of frustrating sometimes. But I think it's more of an academic setting where I feel limitations versus social.
Yeah, I'd say so, especially with the 2 women presidents. I'm sure they have a main focus of getting rid of those stereotypes.
I don't know necessarily if we've progressed. I think that you definitely hear more about it, so I think it's definitely more visible, if that makes sense, in like the media, with the Me Too movement and other such movements in social media. I think it's definitely now easier to spread the word. I don't know if that necessarily is linked to progression. I don't also even know how you could necessarily measure that, but if there is some way to measure it, then I think maybe we have started to progress, but there's always room for improvement.
I believe we've progressed. I love to. I mean, I hear every single day a new woman. I mean, from a finance background, checking the Wall Street Journal all the time, I always see a new executive that's a woman, and so that's really, really encouraging. Not only from a diversity standpoint, but I think that women are rock stars. They should be leading more firms going forward. And I think that, so we definitely have progressed, but we're not done yet. Especially in the finance industry, that's something that still is an issue today. It's a lot of male-dominated offices, and even on campuses too. And so we need to work on that.
I would say yes. I think outside of Bentley, there's a lot more programs for women in finance, and I think Bentley's trying to replicate that as well. I mean, we do have the Center for Women in Business, so I think that's a good step, but there's definitely a lot more that could be done.
I mean, you can't play probably women's sports, but other than that, no, I don't think there's anything you can ever do.
No, I actually don't. And that's where it's a source of privilege for me, and that's where it's my job to try to empower other people who may be struggling with those stereotypes. You know, it's a lot easier for me, I know, as a white male, to get certain positions or to be in certain areas, and so it's my job to help empower other people who may not get that opportunity because of society's stereotypes. I recognize that as a fact, and I've tried to do that throughout my time here.
No, I feel like there's nothing you cannot do. I think it's pretty much the same. You should be able to express yourself any way you want. I remember it was the sociology class that we definitely discussed that, and we showed. So statistically, I would say yes. I mean, given the evidence, given the data, then yes. And then we also saw this interesting looking at the CEOs, the makeup of the CEOs of America and the Fortune 500 companies. Most of them are males. So, we discussed many things that may say that, but I'm assuming that maybe necessarily there is definitely a gender gap.
I don't know, just keep doing what we're doing.
I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily any way you can truly inherently fix it. I think that with there will always be difference in terms of not just gender but race, and I think that people will not ever truly be able to see certain. Some people may not necessarily ever be able to see past that, but I think the best way to fix it is through education. I think that there's the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and if you probably shouldn't focus on like the baby boomer generation. I think that now and the next generation is the best area to focus on, given that you can educate them, and if you learn something from the beginning when you're a kid, then obviously there's no other reason to think otherwise. But I think education is probably the best way, if there's any way, really.
Moving forward, I think it's more of like a social change that needs to be made versus administration. They can do a lot of things and funnel funds into different causes, but I think it's up to the students to really make the change.
Sheryl Sandberg once said, "We cannot change what we are not aware of, and once we are aware, we cannot help but change." Although some gender stereotypes still exist on Bentley's campus and society in general, the conclusion can be made that they are clearly not as demonstrative as they once were back in the day. It is also clear that men and women are becoming more aware of these issues. As Sheryl said, we cannot change what we are not aware of, but now that we are aware, we need to take the next step and start making a positive change. As Bentley students, I think we are more aware than a lot of other college students about the gender stereotypes that exist in the business world. My hope is that by the time we cross that stage and we become fully immersed in the real world, that we serve as leaders for gender equity for generations to come. Becoming aware was the first step, but making a positive change is the next.